I'm Sandra Noonan, Chief Sustainability Officer at Just Salad, and with me today is Jen Merli, Vice President of Sustainability at Mastercard.
Hello.
So Jen, we at Just Salad are so honored to be part of the Priceless Planet Coalition. To start, could you tell me about the Priceless Planet Coalition, how it began, what the inspiration for this was?
Sure. So at Mastercard, our mission overall is to create a digital economy that is equitable and inclusive for everyone everywhere. And what that really means is that's not just people when I say everyone, that means people and planet. So more and more we are spending time trying to amplify our commitments to both things like financial inclusion, bringing more people into the formal digital economy, but also making commitments to climate and environment. And it is becoming more well known that nature is going to be part of that future, right? We can't get to 1.5 degree future without nature. So we made a commitment for the next 5 years to plant 100 million trees. We often refer to it as our goal of restoring 100 million trees. The idea is not to plant the trees and walk away. The intention is really to monitor and evaluate them over that time period to make sure that they grow and that they realize their potential, both for the carbon and the climate benefits, but also for the communities in which those restorations have been built.
So there are many climate solutions. Why the focus on reforestation in particular?
Yeah, that's a great question. About 1/3 of the action that we can take to solve the climate crisis, putting aside that you have to decarbonize, you have to really focus on carbon emissions reductions. And that's governments, both local and national, that's businesses as well. But 1/3 of what we can do to address that climate crisis is in nature. And trees are a very low-tech, inexpensive way to store carbon and have immediate impact on the carbon situation and climate overall. So we wanted to make a bold commitment, which is why we chose that 100 million tree goal. And at the same time, we wanted to make sure that in implementing that goal, that we focused on the right trees in the right places, that we're looking to maximize climate impact as well as community and biodiversity. Conservation International, in addition to our other partner, World Resources Institute, they are our implementation partners. They are the scientists. They are experts in the field of forest restoration, forest conservation, and climate science. So we are at Mastercard, we're a payments technology company. So we're experts in the fields of payment and data and privacy. We're not expert in the field of climate science or in forest restoration. So when we set out on this mission, and when we launched in January 2020, we sought the experts in this field to help us put together a program that was going to be really rock solid in terms of the science, really strong in terms of how they would do the implementation. So we chose Conservation International and World Resources Institute as our partners. They're the ones who are helping us with that program design. So that $2 that you mentioned that goes toward the planting of a tree goes to any one of our 3 current projects, one in Australia, one in Brazil, and one in Kenya. And CI and WRI have really been absolutely integral to helping us design a program where we're getting the right trees in the right places, and again, looking to maximize those triple benefits that I talked about. We're also covering the overhead of managing a program at this global scale with Conservation International and WRI, so that when donors, generous donors, whether they're consumers or partners like Just Salad, when they are making those donations and contributions toward the projects, we ensure that 100% of those proceeds are actually used for the implementation on the ground.
And as you said, it's not just about planting a tree and walking away. There's a lot more to reforestation.
Yeah, I mean, we've become, junior foresters by ambition as a result of embarking on this journey, because Conservation International and WRI are really fastidious in terms of how they plan these projects, how they work with partners on the ground. The amount of preparation that goes into implementing these projects is really extraordinary, because it's not just about, this type of tree is going to work most appropriately in this region or in this type of landscape, but they're working really closely with the communities to make sure that they're deriving benefit from those restorations as well, so that they're either driving livelihoods or job creation. So we feel really confident that what WRI and Conservation International are helping us do is really going to deliver on the impacts that we're hoping for.
Yeah, and you make a good point. Reforestation is certainly about sucking carbon out of the atmosphere, but it does create jobs and supports livelihoods, and I love that.
Yeah, without that long-term forest stewardship of those communities, these restorations will fail. So we're putting them into the hands of the people who live in these environments, and without a vested interest, they have no incentive to either cooperate or help proliferate what has been restored. So it's really an important success factor.
Yeah. In your role at Mastercard, you had the honor of going to COP26. It's November 2021. You just returned from Glasgow. Is there anything is there anything that you would like to share about that? I'd love to hear some details from your trip.
So it was my first COP, so I don't have anything to compare it to. But what I heard from many of the people there was that this was the first convening where there was almost joint or the same amount of representation from business, governments, and civil society. And I think that's out of the recognition that everyone realizes that no one sector can do this ourselves. We all have to act in collaboration and in partnership and, to tackle those really hard, not just questions, but the hard work that is going to go into making a just transition to a net zero future. And the second thing, which I thought should have always been obvious, but apparently was not obvious until this COP, was the role that nature could play. So there was a full day dedicated just to nature, and every session that I attended was about the power of nature and natural climate solutions and nature-based solutions overall in terms of addressing the climate crisis. But it sounded as though on every day of the 12 days of COP, there was conversation really centered on proactive investment in nature, both by public and private sector.
And that is trees and...
That's trees, that's soil carbon, that's blue carbon, that's the investment in the environment, both in restoration and conservation of the natural systems that sustain us as humans.
Got it. Is there anything you would like to say about the Priceless Planet Coalition that we haven't covered? Any call to action for brands that might want to be in it or that are in it? Anything at all?
Yeah, I'd say as a partner, Just Salad has been absolutely tremendous in building this campaign. Obviously, we share the same values in terms of the role that we think business can play in getting toward a solution. And even for consumers, I would say go to pricelessplanet.org to find out more and to donate.